Take a look at this little
Is that your
new
favorite
acquisition.
club?
Welcome to Flavor Town.
Their mascot was apparently a lightning bolted legged horse that breathes fire.
It's either got lightning bolts for legs or its legs are all broken. But it doesn't matter because it can breathe fire. So you don't need legs if you can breathe fire.
Welcome back to the Footy Museum and the Footy Museum podcast. According to my parking spot, I am Justin Whitty, co-director of the Footy Museum, and I am joined by our former treasurer, part-time janitor, occasional exhibition designer, and current co-director, Maria Van Dyken-Lee of the Van Dyken-Lees. How are you, Maria?
That's so many hats and so many responsibilities.
Hey, it's a big place. It's thousands of square feet. Someone's got to polish.
I wish I had a bigger mop.
We talked about this. This is not the time to talk about the mop situation.
Bringing it to the people. I deserve a bigger mop. I deserve it.
The GoFundMe is started for Maria's mop, but we're not here to talk about mops. We are here to talk about the little team that could. This week, we're going to talk about the designs and history of a little club in the northeast corner of Spain called Girona FC. We're talking about them. Why?
Because of unprecedented success?
Yes, this team has kind of shocked the footballing world and moved up on only its second year recently being in the top flight of Spanish football. It is currently, as we speak, tied on points with Madrid at the top of the table in La Liga. I think they are only in second because of the head-to-heads with Madrid, that Madrid has the advantage. So they're basically tied for first place. And as recently as 3 years ago, they were in second division, and they have been even lower. But we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the crest of Girona. So first, let's start here. It is. I like it. It reminds me. It reminds me oddly of the old Columbus Crew crest.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, with the so it is circular. Outside the thick circle, it says Girona on the top, then football club. And then inside the circle, there is a diamond. And within that diamond, it's not so much of a diamond as a sideways square, I guess. And inside that is a shield. And there are alternating red and white lines outside of the diamond square, and then yellow and red stripes within it vertically. And then in the shield, there are wavy lines. And it is... it's attractive.
Yeah, I think it's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the older versions of it too?
Yeah, we'll get to those. But first I want to talk about where it comes from. It is based on the flag and crest of the town of Girona. And that town, Girona, is in Catalonia, along with Barcelona, and the Catalan region, which is a fiercely independent region of Spain. And both the team crest and the flag and emblem of the town have the yellow and red colors, which are referred to as the Senyerian, red and yellow. And they are synonymous with that region of the country. They represent
region.
Yeah, those two colors. And they originate from the coat of arms of the Crown of Aragon.
Of course they do.
And that name is perfect because Girona also was a filming site for Game of Thrones. So a title like that is very appropriate. And the coat of arms of the Crown of Aragon is one of the oldest known crests in Europe.
That is fascinating.
Dating back to 1150. Here you see it here. And this was the third kit in 1150. They went with an embossed script all over it.
It's a bold choice, but I approve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the lines are referencing that. And then the wavy lines reference there's 3 rivers that meet in Girona. The largest of which is I'm going to say Onur River. And that is representative of that. So it's very tied in to the city and its history. That history, of course, it was a Roman settlement. Here you still see the large Roman walls. And it was at different times ruled by Romans, Visigoths, Moors, Charlemagne.
Oh,
Charlemagne,
wow,
who actually
Charlemagne.
bequeathed the crest into the mayor of Barcelona, of which they got their colors, I believe. I'm not
Isn't
sure.
it crazy that guys run around in little football kits, the same color, or little football crest, because Charlemagne bequeathed them a shield.
Yes, well, as it should be. Well, that's what amazing. Like if you brought someone from like the 1100s there, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's our team." I get them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And that's what we mean when we talk about history.
And this town is, because of its location right on the northern edge of Spain, has changed a lot. So there's a lot of influence. I mentioned Charlemagne, but also it was conquered by Napoleon at one point. It fought both with and against Spain at different points in its history, obviously because of Catalonia, and was an area that was largely distrusted by Franco during the authoritarian rule of Franco after the Spanish-American War, because they were so independent that he outlawed the Catalan language and actually brought in people from other parts of Spain. So it's kind of a rebellious, independent area. It's also a town that has one of the richest Jewish histories in Europe, and it has a rich, in the Middle Ages, it was the center of a lot of Jewish learning and culture. But it's a small city, only 100,000 residents, but it is very popular. It has one of the restaurants that's considered the best in the world. And now they are being discovered by a lot of football fans because they are beating giants like Atletico Madrid and Barcelona in the La Liga table. And for a town of 100,000, it makes sense that they just play in this little 14,000 square foot stadium.
It's attractive, though.
Estadi Montevilli.
It's attractive. Look at all that parking.
I know, that's what I looked at too. At least 25 parking spots. Now, I mean, you saw that time. It's probably very walkable, but that is hilarious. I mean, it looks like a high school.
Well, if there's
stadium.
100,000 residents and everybody carpools and everybody can fit 4 per car,
yeah,
and half the people walk, then yeah, you only need 25 parking spots.
Well, it's amazing to me that this stadium is where perhaps the La Liga champion will be determined. It looks like I bet it's a very fun atmosphere to go to. And you might wonder why they are top of the league. So they have been around since 1930. They were initially formed in a cafe in Girona as the merging of a number of different clubs. And most of their history, they have been in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And as you mentioned, even as a period in the 80s and 90s, kind of non-association 5th tier football. So kind of like Wrexham territory. The first time they ever made it to La Liga, the top tier, was, I believe, 2016-17 season. And then they were relegated in 2018-19, so just over a year later. They returned in 2022-23, just last year, where they did fairly good. They ended up 10th, aided by NYC FC's Tati Castellanos. And now they are top of the league. And there's a little secret to that secret sauce, because I believe also around that period when they first went up, they were bought by the City Football Group.
Yes.
That's Manchester City's global empire. And they are actually the representative of the City Football Group overseeing Girona is Pep Guardiola's brother. I forget his name.
It also starts with a P.
It's like Pep
Yes, it's like Pare or something.
So it is a small team, but it is backed by a global powerhouse. And I mentioned a player from NYCFC, Tati Castellanos, who was one of their top scorers last year. New York City is also in the City football group. So they are now part of this big system, which potentially next year, if they win the league and they make Champions League, they're not allowed to play Manchester City because they have the same ownership. So
what if they both ended up in the final?
I think that they would have to do something else, like not play football.
Like maybe just arm wrestle.
They would have to find two other teams, like a Manchester ping pong team who would have to play a Girona ping pong team.
Oh.
Yeah. Or they would have to sell the club. I bet they would sell the club for like just
for one day.
Game. Yeah, they would do something like that. So that's the history. There's some other interesting things we could talk about in a second, but here is the history of the crest, since that is what we talk about, and it has stayed fairly consistent. So that kind of diamond stripe situation, diamond in the circle with a shield, has been throughout. All that's changed is the color. In the 50s and 60s, it went to that center wavy line was a little more checkerboardy. The waves weren't as apparent, but still there. And then the biggest change is that up until 2021, there was a crown atop the crest to kind of reference that history of it being, of the colors and the history tied in with, what's his name?
Charlemagne.
Not Charlemagne, but more specifically, the crown of Aragon.
Ah, yes.
Yes. But this one they've simplified now, and it's that thicker red, and I think it does translate as more modern and keeps that history. I mean, this is kind of an iconic crest, iconic design.
Yeah, I particularly love the design that's on the shield, the tiny shield in the middle.
That wave pattern.
Yeah. You said the City Group bought them in 21?
No, I think they bought them in like 2017, 2018.
Oh, okay. Because one thing that the City Group does is they kind of do this consistent thing across their designs. Like they do the shield within the circle.
Yeah, well, that thicker outer circle is definitely a City thing.
It's kind of like it already fits, but the bumping up the width of that circle feels...
Maybe they just buy teams based on the crest. And maybe that was like Columbus's was trying to get bought out by the City Group. And then...
Because if you look at Mumbai, I think it's Mumbai, they also have just the same thing as City. And NYCFC totally looks like City.
And don't they own a team in Melbourne? The same thing?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know what theirs looks like, but yeah. Well, I'm glad they kept the colors and didn't change it to baby blue.
That's true. I like this, and I also like the kits.
I love that one. I love it.
So this is this season's kit. Even this is one of the red ones where the design font of the sponsor lines up pretty well. So
I've had that same thought.
It is a red kit with white stripes down the front. The space in between the white stripes is irregular, so the two in the middle are slightly closer. So there's a nice variation in width. The wonderful circular logo, which again has the stripes which play on the stripes on the crest. It has the great Puma logo, and then blue trim on the collar and sleeves. And then the sponsor, Gosby, I don't know how you say it, is nice rounded font that matches. It just looks like a good one. And then I found this one from 1998, which I loved because it's long sleeve striped, the old crest, blue collar. And then I love how back then some of the sponsorships were so last minute. It's just clearly an iron-on of Paternina or whatever. Not even centered. Just
it almost looks photoshopped. Yeah, it's very crooked.
I think it might be the wave of the shirt. So that's kind of the look that hasn't changed that much, but they're an exciting team. I've watched some clips, very aggressive, good players, a lot of young players obviously coming up through the system. Interesting, two of their top players, Artman, pronunciation, I should look up the pronunciations. I'm going to say Artem Dovbyk
Is he from Ukraine?
And Victor Sigankin. I've just destroyed that. But 2 Ukrainian players. So you also wonder if timing, historically, if they just had access to these players because of the Ukrainian teams not able to hold on to a lot of their players.
Well, I'm glad they're seeing success then.
Yeah, it's an exciting team. And Girona seems like an interesting town. Like some of the other interesting facts there is there's a lot of myths and stories about the city. One is there is the throne of Charlemagne, which apparently if a couple sits on, they'll be married within a certain amount of months. But if a solo male sits on it, they'll never get married. So parents who wanted one of their children to become a priest would make them go sit by themselves on the throne.
Wow.
Or priests who are having impure thoughts would have to go sit on. Ironic, because Charlemagne actually never was in Girona, and he had numerous children and by all accounts was not at all chaste. But there's that aspect. The other one, which I love, is that there was a group of nuns, one nun of which was more pious than the others and was kind of annoying the other nuns. So they threw her in a dungeon by the river and forgot about her. And
they didn't forget about her.
She slowly turned into a crocodile, but because she was so pious, she grew beautiful wings, and she now haunts the river as a winged crocodile nun.
Oh, you know what? That'd be a fun mascot.
That would make a great crest.
Yeah. Girona, the winged crocodile nuns.
Crocodile nuns. So that's it. That's our day. Oh, of course. Oh, I should also mention their coach, 48-year-old Mikel, former Spanish player. So yeah.
I thought was interesting about him is his history of getting teams promoted from the second division. He's done it 3 times. Yeah. With 3 teams. And twice got sacked mid-season, and then those teams got relegated again. But this time, they didn't sack him.
And they kept going.
He's doing great. Yeah.
He might replace Pep.
Oh.
Did you find anything else about this club? Yeah.
So their official pump-up song for the season is the Europop hit Gala's Freed from Desire, which I wasn't so familiar with. It hasn't made it into my circle of listening, but I feel like this song could benefit from some auto-tune. And don't come at me, people.
Okay, let's see. Freed from
Desire.
My lover's got no money, he's got his strong beliefs. My lover's got no power, he's got his strong beliefs. My lover's got no fame, he's got his strong beliefs.
Okay, so that's that. That's that. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Apparently it's their good luck song.
So we'll have to keep track of them. So it's a short pod. We're just recovering from the holiday, but we will be back next week with more uninformed opinions and another deep dive into an area of soccer culture. And we're also going to start releasing soon some of the history of the Footy Museum. It's a little longer than you may realize.
From the archives.
From the archives, from our humble beginnings, almost over 100 years ago, and then up until present day. So keep an eye out for that. Until then, I'm Justin Woody. And you are Maria. You're supposed to say.
And I am Maria Flavortown Van Dyke and Lee.
We will see you next time.
My, woo! My, Girona.
I kept singing that too. That should be their song.
It should be.
Missed opportunity. All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.